I saw a TikTok where a lady was like, "Oh, yes," and then just complained for 5 minutes about how men don't like her. I thought that was a pretty inspiring introduction. Spray myself for the vid. So anyway, time for some updates. Number 1. I finished this book. I mentioned it a few blogs ago. It's called The Groves of Academe, an early example of campus fiction by Mary McCarthy. She had a pretty solid career, won a few awards. This was her first big novel. She was 39 when it got published. And I gotta say, I didn't like it at the beginning because it's just a lot of tell and not show. It's also very oblique. Like, people are on the phone talking about conversations that they had in the past, and I'm thinking, I wish I had just seen the conversation. But we will give her credit for doing something different, I suppose, than every other writer in the early 50s. Most every other writer. And what actually kept me turning the pages was McCarthy's description of campus politique. Just the snide remarks and the backhanded compliments and the punching down and kissing up amongst professors and administrators and even students. I think overall, I was also pretty attracted to the plot. So we are introduced to a professor who on page 1 is being fired by the president. And at the end of the book, spoiler alert, the professor ends up keeping his job, and the president who was trying to fire him quits. So pretty Machiavellian, and I suppose that if you want to view this as a positive story, it's a how-to manual for professors to keep their jobs, no matter how pointless or worthless that job is. If you want to view this novel as a negative, it's a warning to administrators that you might be dealing with a conniving, self-destructive, ruthless professorship in a rot inside your grove of academe. So anyway, that was awesome. I gotta say, so just to round up, it's a 3 out of 5. It's actually more like a 2.7 out of 5, but we'll call it a 3 out of 5. Okay, second update is I heard back from a pair of professors at my university who are looking for research assistants this summer. The pay is $3,000 for 200 hours. And so it's basically $15 an hour before tax, and I'm estimating working for 10 weeks at part-time. So that still gives me time to find some other work as I apply for more work, and hopefully I get something in another grove of academe by the fall. So I mention this because I want to give other viewers who are maybe considering academia just an idea of how to put this, how RAs are valued by their own community at their own university. I guess for details as to the actual position, I would be assisting 2 other professors with pretty extensive pedigree and interesting backgrounds. So I do expect to learn a lot from them, from people 10 years ahead of me in my career, who have proposed a pretty interesting project, got some grant money, and now just need, RAs to clean up metadata on spreadsheets. So yeah, it's between better than nothing and the ideal summer gig. Somewhere right there in the middle, a sweet spot of maybe it'll be better than I think, and also I should be keeping my head above the water while I do this work. So that's the second update, and the third update is that it was my brother's birthday last Friday, and today, Sunday, there's going to be a crawfish boil at our folks' place. So just a signal to See, I'm a writer. I have a real life. I do things. You know, I'm not just applying to jobs and talking about books. It's important to meet other human beings, get some sunlight, and eat some tasty crawfish here in the South. So those are my 3 updates. And to end on a gift, which is becoming the normative operation, I'm pretty much inspired by this note that I actually got around to reading from my mother, telling me how much she values the fact that I earned a doctorate, and she's, you know, proud of me. So it's always a good sign when a son, even at 32, still has his mother's on his side of the ring, you know. So very grateful for that. Oh, well, so the gift to you is I will write you a card. I don't know how that's going to work out. Do you want me to email it to you? I can maybe mail it to you with USPS. But first person to hit me up, you know, just in the subject line, put the number of this vlog and say, hey, you promised a card. And I'll get back to you. Maybe I look you up online or something. Or I'll just write something random. But I owe you a card for being a faithful viewer of this vlog, which is slowly budding into a sprout, from seed to sprout, and the rest, who knows, man. Peace, take care, happy Sunday, and enjoy your yerba mate. Toodaloo.